live for another exciting edition of the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. Joining me is Ralph Valenti. We're making our All Out 2021 predictions tonight. It's going to be a fun show on Sunday night. The return of CM Punk to the ring after 7 long years. 9 matches on this card on the main show, plus the buy-in match, Ralph. What are you most excited for before we head to the predictions?
Before we started recording, figures that would happen as soon as we went live. But wrestling-wise, what am I excited for? I'm certainly excited for the return of CM Punk. I love the dynamic between him and Darby Allin. I'm interested to see how that plays out. I'm interested to see if there's any surprises. Does Bryan Danielson show up? Anything as far as, I know Ruby Soho is somebody that a lot of people have a lot of eyes on. So it should be an interesting pay-per-view. And I think that it's going to deliver in a big way.
All right. Before we continue with the predictions, Ralph, I need you to unplug and replug in your audio interface because it looks like there's some audio crap going on. But hey, we're live, pal. That's what happens here. But while you're doing that, I'll let everybody know what's going on here. How can you order All Out on pay-per-view? Obviously, we know that everything's on Bleacher Report now in the U.S., but now you can also go on Fight TV and order it in the United States. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that. Also, you can go in the link in the description because not only will you be able to order the pay-per-view there, but you'll be able to, give us a little kickback because it's an affiliate link there. So, help us out. That's one way to support. Another way you could support is through merchandise. We have merchandise available. 10% off with the promo code SCPB10. And that link is also in the description. You can also donate to the Super Chat Party. Anybody that has a question, donate to the Super Chat Party. Your question will end up, thanks to the wonderful world of technology, Ralph, we could do stuff like this and put up a question on the screen now from, for example, Sat Yam asking, where is Hangman Page? Simple answer, he is on paternity leave. Basically, he is, he's going to be gone for a little bit while the birth of his, I think it's a son, happens. And once, he's taken care of that, he'll be back and going for that world championship that Kenny Omega currently has.
Hey, speaking of technology, how's my mic sound now?
Your mic sounds perfect now.
All right,
so everyone give us
the right track.
We are on the right track. So everyone give us a thumbs up, like the video now that Ralph has fixed this. And if you have any questions, we're going to answer those after the predictions are over. Use the hashtag question. It makes it easier for me to track it down. And you cut the line, like I said already, by joining the Super Chat Party. Helps support this channel. So, Ralph, without further ado, let's start with the first match. We'll start with the buy-in match. This was added on because of the canceled match between Pac and Andrade due to travel issues, which I don't know what travel issues can there be that they canceled on Wednesday, knowing that the match is until Sunday. What the heck is the cancellation or the travel issues? I'm assuming it's with Pac, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly disappointing. I don't know if this is some type of COVID-related thing where, with travel restrictions or just maybe has something to do with their status to work in the United States. I have no idea, but whatever the case may be, definitely disappointing because this was one of those matches that I was looking forward to because just based on the skills of these two guys alone, this was one of those matches where I think a lot of people felt like they can go out there and steal the show. Andrade, he's been doing a lot of backstage stuff and we haven't really seen a whole lot from Pac recently. So this could have been their opportunity to go out there and just show what they're made of because they're both great. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. And this match is going to take its place, I guess.
Yeah, I believe Sean Ross Sapp tweeted out that it will happen on the Cincinnati show this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. So at least the Cincinnati crowd will get a very good match. I know that would have been a potential match of the night for this card, but
actually, it Rampage?
It might be Rampage.
Yeah, because admittedly, I only watched parts of Rampage last night. My daughter took over the television, and I was quite tired from my day job, so I didn't catch all of Rampage. But I saw people tweeting Pac versus Andrade on Rampage. And I thought it was going to be on last night. I didn't know if it was going to be on next week, but could be Rampage, could be Dynamite, but at least we're going to get the match.
Yeah, we definitely are going to get the match. And it looks like I'm seeing in the chat here, someone's saying that it's actually Rampage next Friday is when that match is happening. So thank you to MKASP PDO64. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but thank you for letting us know. This is a guy, I know he commented in our community page when we first mentioned that we were doing this live prediction show today at 10 a.m. Eastern time. He woke up at 7 a.m. Western time. So anybody that's up on the West Coast, thanks for joining us here on a very early Saturday morning. I know it must suck to wake up on Saturday morning, Labor Day weekend of all weekends, but we're glad that you joined us.
What time did you wake up?
I wake up at like 6 o'clock, but some people don't. Some people like sleeping in. Heck, my father-in-law and my wife, if they could sleep until 9, 10 o'clock in the morning if they wanted to. Nah. They don't, but I'm an early bird. But some people aren't.
At 6, I went for a 2 or 3 mile run this morning.
How many calories did you burn, Ralph?
400.
400. Very good. I don't know. Is that good? I'm assuming that's good. That's a whole meal.
I'm in the negative. I still haven't eaten yet today, so.
Well, that's good. But, all right, so let's get to this buy-in match, Ralph. It's Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and the Jurassic Express going up against the Hardy Family Office, Matt Hardy, Private Party, Hybrid 2. I think this match it's going to be a fun 10-man tag. I know AEW likes to throw these 10-man tag, 8-man tags together. They're not terrible. And I think it's going to showcase some guys that they want to showcase that aren't on the main card, like Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy. And I don't know if you heard the comment that Tony Khan said that he wants to make these pre-show buy-in matches important because he remembers back in 96 when Stone Cold Steve Austin was on the kickoff show for, I believe it was SummerSlam 96.
Jeez. Stone Cold Steve Austin on the kickoff show. My goodness.
And that was after he won King of the Ring, and I believe he faced Yokozuna.
Wow. Yeah. This match, I think that the main thing it has to do is not overstay its welcome. You don't want to burn the crowd out. This is a match that I could see probably like opening of the night, because as you said, this is something that's going to have a lot of energy. You're probably going to get some high spots. Everybody can get their shtick in, so you can get the play kicks and all the stuff that comes with Orange Cassidy. You can get the excitement from Jungle Boy. You can get the hot tag to Luchasaurus, or however they plan to do this. 7-8 minutes at most. I would hope for that. I hope it doesn't turn into like a 15-20 minute like back and forth match where things just get out of hand, which can happen sometimes with these 4 or 5 man tags. But I think this opens the night, and as long as they keep it within check, I think it should be a halfway decent match.
Well, it will be on the buy-in, so it definitely opens the night.
Right.
But I think this is really going to showcase Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy being their more over guys in AEW, and guys that people throw that word star around with. I mean, when Jungle Boy was going for the AEW World Championship, a lot of people were throwing that name around, or throwing that word around. He's a star. He's a star. He's a star. Well, this is one way to see whether or not he is a star, because that buy-in match is important, because it's going to get some people that are on the fence. Should I buy it? Should I put $50 of my hard-earned money into this pay-per-view? I see this young kid in Jungle Boy. There's a lot of promise there. I see Orange Cassidy. He's doing play kicks. Maybe not. So it could be interesting how this match develops, but I think it's obviously going to be Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and Jurassic Express winning. The question is, who takes the win?
I think it should be Jungle Boy.
I agree.
I mean, look, he's a guy that we've talked about so many times. So many people say, "Oh, he's so good. He's got all this potential," and he does. He is very good. I mean, we saw that in his match. We see it in all his matches, but we certainly saw it in his match against Kenny. He needs to get the win here for the team. I think that he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree there. But let's head on to the main show, Ralph. As I mentioned before, 9 matches on the card. And as you saw on the graphic there, 10% off our merchandise with the promo code SCPB10, link in the description. But let's head to it. Paul Wight versus QT Marshall in Paul Wight's AEW debut match. He did get attacked by Billy Gunn with a chair shot to the hip on this past episode of Dynamite. I don't know if that was just to kind of spark some intrigue in this match, or could we see some kind of swerve here where this could be one of the big surprises Tony Khan has been hinting for this All Out?
Well, I don't know where this match is going to go, and we've talked about this. I'm going to watch the match. Can I say I'm 100% like excited for the match? No, it's not the most exciting match on the card for of the night for me, but where do I see this going? I think probably Paul Wight wins this. You know, QT Marshall is not like a main event level guy. It's not, even if he goes over, it's not going to be a huge deal. I don't know.
Now, let me throw this out there because I believe it was Larson of Steven Larson threw this out there. What if the reason they attacked Paul Wight was to write him off of the match and they replace him with a surprising debut of one Adam Scherr, formerly known as Braun Strowman?
I mean, I'm fine with that. I think that right now we live in an age where we value the surprises more than anything else, the returns more than anything else. That's what fans hope for going into every pay-per-view, right? We saw the way the crowd reacted when Cena came back, when Brock came back, when Punk came back. That's what fans are into now. And I don't think that the AEW fan base is all that into a guy like Strowman, but if you position it in a way where one, he's going to go against a guy like QT Marshall, and it's going to be a surprise on a big pay-per-view, well, you're putting him in a position where the fans will probably react more favorably. Yeah.
Someone just commented, let me put the chat up here. Someone said that they would love to see Val Venus just to trigger AEW marks.
Good Lord.
Also, someone putting up Shaq is going to feud with Paul Wight after All Out. I don't know if that's true, but who knows? Maybe that'd be interesting to see.
Who's going to bring Val Venus out to the ring? Is it going to be Aubrey Huff? Because that would create a total freaking meltdown.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I have no idea, but it'd be interesting to see. But if I had to pick someone actually in this match to win, I would agree that Paul Wight is winning. But now that that's out in the universe, thanks to Larson, I actually want to. I know a lot of people don't want to see it, but I'm one of them. I'm a Braun Strowman mark. You know, I've always said the guy could have been the megastar wrestling needed if they just pulled the trigger on him. Haven't beat Lesnar, haven't beat Roman, but instead they Strowmanized Braun Strowman and didn't get quite the push that he should have gotten. And now he's released from WWE because he makes too much money for his value. And who knows, maybe he can right the wrongs that some people have him with AEW, and he will come out and squash QT Marshall.
So someone said have Sonny come bring out walk out Val Venus. Doesn't Sonny live like 15 minutes from us?
Like, oh, Sonny? Like,
yeah. She was in next town over.
She used to, because she did get arrested in the town next to us, but I think at this point, I think she lives in New Jersey now that she's out of jail.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this, because you brought up the name Mark. What if Mark Henry is the guy that's going to replace Paul Wight?
That's not a bad idea either. I mean,
I think the fans would be into that. I would like that bait and switch for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes a lot of sense because, you know, Mark Henry and Paul Wight are very good friends. I mean, Paul Wight was the one that inducted Mark Henry into the WWE Hall of Fame. So that definitely could be too. And you don't have to worry about signing a contract with Mark Henry because he's already there. So maybe that makes a lot of sense. So that could be
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep. So let me know in the chat, guys. Mark Henry or Braun Strowman, who would you rather see in the match if Paul Wight is not going to compete due to his hip injury after the attack from Billy Gunn? And also, you know, donate to the Super Chat party. Ralph, let's make a goal before we move on. Let's make a goal for how much we want to raise here, because what we raise, what we take in here helps support this channel. The more money we make, the more content we make, because, you know, recently we've backed up backed off on how many videos we do. So if we get more money out of it, that means more videos can get put in, better equipment, better videos. Heck, maybe Ralph can actually get his mic to work before the show starts instead of after the show starts. That's going to help with your donations. So
set the bar low. I got to go peach picking today.
Okay. Let's set it at, can we get to $100 in chat revenue? Actually, let's do this. Between the affiliate links from Fight TV, the merchandise, and anybody that donates to the Super Chat party, let's try to get $200. Let's see if we could do it. $200, guys. And, you don't need to donate like the whole 200. If you only have $1, we'll take it. Anything you could donate, it would be greatly appreciated. We'll answer your question. We'll give you a shout out. We'll put your name here on the screen, all that fun stuff. But let's try to do it, guys. And share this all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. But now with all the shameless plugs there, let's move on to the next match. It is a AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling special. Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. Now, Ralph, I think those that follow New Japan Pro Wrestling and Japanese wrestling know the name Satoshi Kojima, a legend in Japan. If you're only watching AEW and WWE, you're like, who the hell is Satoshi Kojima? Is this match even going to be good? From what I've seen from a guy like Satoshi Kojima, the guy is good. This is going to be a really good, stiff, physical match, which a lot of these matches, I don't really see that type of match. So I'm excited to see where this develops. Let them go 10 minutes beating the hell out of each other. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the matches that catches people by surprise. I think this is one of those matches that is going to play into the hands of Moxley. It's going to be exactly the style he likes to work. And it will do what AEW has really been trying to do and highlight maybe some people who didn't get certain recognition. Like you look at some of the stuff they did, obviously with Jericho and what's his name there, Nick Gage.
Yep, Nick Gage.
He's a guy who has been on the indie scene for however long, and just to give him that one opportunity to work in front of a fan base that he would have never been given the opportunity to do, likely if it was like WWE or another larger promotion. That's what AEW tries to do. They try to get people attention. They try to focus on people who maybe, don't get the recognition they feel they deserve from the entirety of the wrestling fan base. So I think that's what we're going to see here. So this will probably be a good 10, 12, 15-minute match, I'd imagine, and it will be stiff, and it should be pretty good.
Yeah, I totally agree. But who do you think wins this? I mean, you would think because it's an AEW pay-per-view and Moxley is one of their top guys that he would win, but do you see a possibility they swerve us and have the New Japan guy go over?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think Moxley's got to win this. I know that there's all the rumors that were kind of circulating and people were hoping that it would be Tanahashi. Didn't happen. But maybe this starts to build towards it. Maybe Moxley says he's going to go to Japan to try and face. I don't know.
Because Tanahashi does have that U.S. title unless Ibushi beat him. I know they had a match this weekend. I don't know if it happened yet or it happened this morning. I have to check. Maybe someone in the chats could tell me. But if Tanahashi retains in that match against Ibushi, then I think Wrestle Kingdom or some special match in the G1 in this fall, we'll see Tanahashi versus Jon Moxley for that U.S. title. And maybe Moxley brings it back on New Japan, on AEW television. So we'll see. Actually, someone just mentioned in the chat, Tanahashi did win. So he is still the IWGP United States champion. But let's move on to the Women's Casino Battle Royale. At the time that we are going live here, 19 of the 21 names have been announced. Who are those final two, Ralph? Obviously, one is going to be the Joker. Who do you think is going to be the Joker?
Well, it kind of depends on what you think the surprise is going to be. They can debut. Do you think Ruby Soho shows up?
Yes.
You do? Okay. I do.
If not tonight, it's going to be the Arthur Ashe show.
Right. And I don't think she needs to show up here, but I think it's a little ironic that there's two open spots, you said, right?
Yes.
Do we get the Iconics?
So you know what? Steven Larson brought that up too. I believe it was Steve of Steven Larson. I mean, these guys are getting free publicity, not that they really need it, but I believe Steve said make the Joker, both of them, and have both of them come out at the 20 and 21 spots.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fans would be into that. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I was always a fan of the Iconics. Were they the best in the ring? Certainly not. But wrestling is about characters, and they were very good at what they did. They were good on the mic. They were funny. It just, just one of those things. WWE dropped the ball with them. Didn't give them the opportunities that maybe could have put them in a position to be successful. But even if this is a one and done thing, if they don't have to stick around in AEW, just one night to have some fun there. That's what I think that's a good call for them. If that's who's going to be that spot, that's what I would do.
Right. Now I am seeing in the chat a couple people saying that Sky Blue was added to this. So that is number 20. So there's only one spot left. So the Iconic idea does not hold water unless, they do like what the WWE does and they announce names and then they magically don't show up and they put in a surprise entrant instead. So until all 21 entrants are there, hold it with a grain of salt. Who is announced, card subject to change, as they always say in the wrestling business, although that's more for injury and sickness. WWE doesn't believe that. But anyway, if there's still one spot open, I'll throw a name out there and maybe it makes some history as the first 2-time Joker in women's casino battle royale history, and that is Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because she is a free agent.
She is a free agent. And then of course you could always do Rebel dropping out because of her knee, maybe her knee tweaked. You can also have someone get attacked. Thunder Rosa got attacked by Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill on Dynamite. Maybe she gets attacked again and they take her out of the match. I don't know what they do there, but you could do a lot of things there. So
now Jade is in this match, correct?
She is in this match.
And that's going to be difficult to work around because I think that, she has that aura where she can kind of be like a female version of Goldberg.
Yep.
Do you pull the trigger? Do you have her win?
The good thing is the Battle Royal does not go against the win-loss record.
Yeah.
So that helps. She could dominate and have like 10 eliminations, but still lose the match and it won't affect her undefeated streak. So, I think Asuka, when they had her in NXT with her streak, she lost a Battle Royal and that did not count in her win-loss and she still won over 500 matches or 500 days undefeated, whatever the stat was. So you could do that with her. And maybe they're pushing either a feud or a alliance with Nyla Rose. Be interesting to see how that develops. But who do you think wins this match?
I'm going to say Thunder Rosa.
I think that's the obvious one, but it seems like with these casino battle royales, it's never the obvious pick. Except for when Hangman won the first one, there's not really oh my God, the obvious person won. Like Riho won the first women's casino battle royale, if I'm not mistaken, or was it Nyla? No, it was Riho, wasn't it?
Oh man, I couldn't even remember that.
I have to do my research. It's hard to do research for when you're live, but I think this could be someone that they've been pushing for a little bit. Maybe someone that just recently returned. Do you go with Ty Conti or Anna Jay?
They're not ready for something like that. I don't think.
Would you say Jungle Boy was ready when he won the Casino Battle Royale?
I wouldn't say he's ready, but he was certainly further ahead. They're both good. I think
Anna coming fresh off of injury would be, it would be hard for her to sell that match. At least Ty Conti, they've been kind of pushing, and she's been ranked in the top 5 for a good majority of the time she's been there, and I think she's gotten a lot better in the ring. And obviously people bring her up when they say NXT don't develop people. Look what happened after Ty Conti left. she's always the first person that's brought up in that conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if they go with Ty Conti. I actually have her as my pick. I'm going with Ty Conti to win the Casino Battle Royale.
Okay. Interesting.
And you're going with Thunder Rosa, right?
Yes.
All right. So, guys, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us here on the Squared Circle Psycho Babble. If you like our predictions so far, like this video and share it all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, SCPB Podcast. You can order All Out on Fight TV, link in the description. Also, we have a 10% off SCPB merch, promo code SCPB10 with the link in the description there. And we will answer questions at the end of our prediction show till maybe the top of the hour, maybe a little bit more. But if you want to cut the line, donate to the Super Chat Party. Any dollar amount helps support this channel. We're trying to make, I think the goal was $200 between the affiliate link, the merch, and the chat revenue to help support this channel because, without you guys, we don't do this content. So let's move on to the next match. It is for Chris Jericho's in-ring career. Chris Jericho and MJF. Now, I asked you this last time, Ralph, when this was first stipulated, and you're like, no way is MJF losing in this match. Are you still on that prediction that MJF is winning?
I am. Yes, for two reasons. One, as we all know as fans, pro wrestling is scripted. There's been a million matches, and the only one, actually, no, not even Shawn Michaels, but very few guys say, this is going to be my retirement match. I'll never wrestle again and actually stay retired. They always come back. So that's number one. So they'll find, if Jericho loses, they can still find a way to rectify his career, bring him back, and have him wrestle 2 weeks from now if they wanted to. The other thing is this. You've had all this time investing into MJF, and everybody talks about how he's the top heel and, one of the best guys in the industry. And he's very good. To me, in my mind, you can't have him beat Jericho 3 times only to turn around and have him lose. And that's how the feud ends. Cause then it's like, well, what's the upside for MJF? Where do they go with that? And for, if he's going to move up in the rankings and challenge for titles and all those types of things, which he should, he needs to beat Chris Jericho, in my opinion.
Right. But, we haven't really seen this warfare between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle really as the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle, really. Like, they've had matches, but they don't really.
Is that even a thing anymore?
I mean, Excalibur, I think, was talking about Inner Circle versus Pinnacle during the FTR Santana and Ortiz match on Wednesday, which was a really good opening match for Dynamite last week. But, with these stipulations AEW, for the most part, has honored their stipulations when they put them out there. So I'm not one to say, Jericho definitely is losing this match. I think there's still some matches he can have. He's not terrible in the ring. He's still having solid matches. I think he's actually gotten better look-wise and in shape-wise since they turned him babyface. And that's probably intentional. But I see this actually not as clear-cut MJF is winning. Could we see Sammy Guevara interfere? Could we see Santana and Ortiz or Hager? Like, could this get into a schmaz where we actually see everyone from the Inner Circle, everyone from the Pinnacle get involved in this match? So we'll see. And actually, someone just pointed this out. Very interesting fact here that Wardlow has not been on TV since he lost to Jericho. Does he get involved? Yeah. Does he screw MJF?
I don't think he's going to screw MJF just because they haven't necessarily teased something like that. Like, there wouldn't be motivation there. The one thing that I always go back to, because they touched on it like one time ever on Dynamite, that the reason Wardlow has sided with MJF, I think, is because he's paying him and he's got some debts or something that he needs to pay. Something like that. Mm-hmm. They never went back to that storyline.
Right.
But even then, maybe what we see, if you're going to have Jericho win, maybe Wardlow accidentally costs him the match.
Mm-hmm.
And you see like that dynamic like we saw back in the day with, was it Shawn and Psycho Sid, where Sid turned on him?
Yep.
Because you gotta think that Wardlow probably will end up turning on MJF at some point because he's too big of a guy. He's got his look alone just has that star appeal to him. And, he's got to get away from MJF to really make it to that next level. So if Jericho's going to win, maybe Wardlow gets involved and accidentally costs MJF the match. Other than that, I think MJF needs to take the win.
Right. Now, obviously, the other thing that could go into MJF's favor of winning this match is the fact that Jericho will probably be taking time off soon to tour with Fozzy. I know the Jericho Cruise is coming, which I don't know if that really affects his booking in AEW because I'm sure there's going to be AEW guys, but I don't know if you heard, Will Ospreay is going to be on that cruise as well, so that's going to be interesting. And Will Ospreay is actually coming to Connecticut. Speaking of Will Ospreay, the huge Northeast Wrestling card on October 2nd. I don't know if you saw that card, but MJF is going to be there. Matt Hardy, maybe Paul Wight, I think, is on that show too.
Well, we saw Darby there before Darby and Brian Pillman Jr. And they were the opening, right? Darby was in that match.
Darby was facing Scorpio Sky at that show.
Okay.
And
that's right.
Right. And SCU faced, I believe it was Mike Verna and Keith Youngblood, I believe was the tag team. But that was a fun show. And actually we have a clip of when Hangman and Cody showed up on the channel somewhere. So maybe I'll link it in the description so you guys can check that out. But you're going with MJF. I'm actually going with Jericho winning here, either through Sammy Guevara or Wardlow winning. So let's move on to the championship matches here, Ralph. We'll start with the TNT Championship match because I think that one has probably the least amount of build to it because they just booked it last week. But tell you what, did you watch Rampage last night with their exchange of promos?
I caught the one little snippet where he said redeem these nuts.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep. But I mean, Miro, this was really Miro's first time doing a live promo since he started this whole Redeemer character. He wasn't bad. It just once Eddie Kingston came out, he kind of flubbed and didn't remember or tried to come up with something and really couldn't. But he actually did a lot better than he used to in WWE, and he kind of was in the beginning, especially that time where he was with Lance Archer. That was bad, but definitely improved, and I am loving this Redeemer character.
Yes, this is definitely the best work he's done since leaving the WWE, maybe even the best work he's done in comparison to what he did do when he was in WWE. So, they threw this match together pretty quick. I think Miro's just doing too good with the title. I can't see him losing. I really can't. I think he's going to beat Eddie Kingston within 5 minutes.
You think it's going to be that quick?
I think it has to be. Because most of his matches that he's had, granted, they haven't been against guys that have been as well known as Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston, as of right now, I don't think he's ranked, right?
No.
So,
but the rankings don't really matter with the TNT Championship because that's more of like an open challenge kind of title where people could just go up and say, they had Fuego del Sol challenging for the title, and he hasn't even had a win yet.
Well, the point I was going to make is Eddie Kingston is, people know him more for his persona than his ranking.
Right.
I think we're going to see a very similar match to some of the stuff that we've seen from Miro in the past couple weeks. 5 minutes, 8 minutes at most. I don't think it goes very long. And I think Miro's going to look pretty dominant.
Well, I mean, they do have to cut time somewhere. Maybe this is the way they do it. I believe Miro and Archer's match at Double or Nothing was the shortest match of the night. So do they go 20-minute time limit draw in a hard-fought match? I don't see that. But I'm not going to say, I don't think it's going to be 5 minutes. I think that's too short. I would say the over-under is 7.5 minutes. That would be if I was on DraftKings and they put up an over-under for time limits on DraftKings, if AEW is even part of DraftKings, I think the over-under would be 7.5 minutes.
Okay. I mean, I think Miro right now they're trying to do a lot with. Well, they're trying to position him to feel more important and certainly more special than what he was doing in WWE. And even like when he first debuted, I mean, he was doing that stuff that, not a lot of people were into. Everybody was, including myself. They were like, they're kind of wasting him. This isn't where we wanted to see Miro. Now we're getting him in positions where we think that he looks better, and he can have more success. So Tony Khan even kind of said, he doesn't view the TNT title as a mid-card title. So if they're going to continue to push that championship and position that title as an equal to the heavyweight championship, if you want to call it that, I think the champion has to look dominant. So, it doesn't have to be a 5 minutes match, but I don't see it going very long.
Right. Now, we did get a donation to the super chat part. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Yes, I got it right this time. Hail Romero, thank you for your $10 donation. He says, I believe FTR injury really cooled down the Pinnacle Inner Circle feud. Fuego should get more credit for exposing Marrow's weakness. Do you agree with that? It's a little further down on the I don't know how, where you are in the live chat, but it's on the screen right now if you see it there. I believe FTR injury really cooled down the Pinnacle Inner Circle feud. Fuego should get more credit for exposing Marrow's weakness, which is he might be a little too cocky for his own good.
Oh, so he's like Jake Paul.
Or Logan Paul, one of the Pauls, trending on Twitter almost 12 hours after SmackDown.
Best heel in sports entertainment, but I digress.
Yeah. I don't know. I think those were piped in boos last night on SmackDown, to be honest with you.
Didn't Fuego... I was talking about Jake, not Logan. I could care less about Logan. Jake is killing it as far as the heel game is concerned. So
right.
What's his name though? Fuego del Sol. Didn't he attack Miro like before the match even started?
No, Miro attacked him. I think he like threw him off the ramp or like down the ramp before the match started. I think.
I thought that Fuego. There was like
or did Fuego drop kick him before the bell rang?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, yeah, I don't. To me, that's not necessarily exposing a weakness because once Miro got his hands on him, that was it. The match lasted like 3 minutes. So.
Yeah, it was not a long match at all. But I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me I'm wrong, which I probably am. I'm open to admit I'm wrong sometimes. So, but so you're going with the Miro retention. I'm going with the Miro retention. Over under 7.5 minutes.
Under.
I'm going over. I say 8 minutes.
Does Miro come out on a tank?
I don't think there's room for a tank in that building.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you need a stadium for a tank, but
how about Lana?
That would be interesting. He's been mentioning her without actually saying her name. So it's possible. And I think he really did his best work at WWE when Lana was by his side. So, I could see it. Let us know in the chat if you guys think that AEW should bring in Lana to be the, I guess, manager of Miro. But we could see it happen. Maybe not get involved with the match, but maybe afterwards, after he celebrates another one, he mentions how he's going to make love to his wife or whatever he says, his beautiful wife, and then she comes out and gets a nice little pop. That's probably how they do it. At least.
Did you see that comment down there about 2.0?
Which one?
That is one of the best points somebody made. AEW needs to hire more people like 2.0 who are willing to do the job and look good doing it. I agree 100%.
There we go. Yep. I just got the thing here from Lloydon O'Neill. Thank you very much for the comment there. AEW needs to hire more people like 2.0 who are willing to do jobs and look good doing it. That is what the TNT title needs. The Cody Open Challenge was a good idea. It is. It was a really good idea. And I think they need to keep that. And maybe Miro starts doing that after beating Eddie Kingston. So I'm 100% on board with that comment. So, but let's move on to the next championship match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Chris Statlander for the women's championship. Statlander coming into this match undefeated in singles competition. Britt Baker, obviously one of the most over, if not the most over women's wrestler in wrestling today. Do we see a chance at Statlander pulling the upset here?
No, I don't think so. I think you got to ride that Britt Baker wave for as long as you can. She is becoming one of the, not just most over women in wrestling, she's one of the most over wrestlers in pro wrestling right now, I would venture to say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, considering that she's supposed to be a heel and people just do the DMD sing along with her, like, it's hard to really call her a heel at this point. She's still, I think it's more like how Austin was, where they cheer for her, but she still does heelish things, but it's not like in a way that's like she's a bitch. She's like just doing things to win kind of thing, and people are okay with it, like Austin was.
And they can do whatever they want, and I think the only one they can really put her in the ring with where she might get booed is Thunder Rosa. I think that it's tough because she's got all this momentum. She's so over, but she's working as a heel sometimes and sometimes not, which is fine. But at the same time, it puts somebody like a Chris Statlander or Red Velvet in the tough position.
Right.
Because they're not, I don't see them booing Britt Baker.
No, not really at all. Don't. But how about this? Aaron putting up plot twist. Adam Cole comes out and super kicks Statlander. Britt Baker wins.
Panama Sunrise.
Well, you could do that, but would you want to do a Panama Sunrise on a woman from Adam Cole?
But... Tell you what, Chris Statlander, if you follow her on Instagram, she's pretty jacked. She might have a good 15 pounds on Adam Cole. But...
Well, everybody has at least a good 15 pounds on Adam Cole these days. So, I mean,
I still love him. He's still one of my top 5 favorites. So,
I mean, that's the thing with Adam Cole. Like, he has every tool imaginable to be a top star in professional wrestling, except his size. I mean, like,
doesn't bother me, but even the last video we did where we were talking about it in the draft, I saw a bunch of people commenting, I can't take him serious because he's too small. Now, It's a different mindset, but there are people out there who just, view wrestlers that way. Like, if you just look like an average Joe, they're not going to take you serious.
Right. So
which is strange considering, you have UFC fighters that are like 125 pounds that can probably kick the crap out of a 220-pound guy on the street.
Right. So do you think this is probably the safest bet that Britt Baker retains out of all the other titles on the card tomorrow night?
Yeah, for sure. I think that Britt Baker wins tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, I really don't see her losing until maybe, I think it's either going to be Rosa that takes the title off of her or Jade Cargill. Those are the only two I see taking the title off of her. And obviously, because she's so red hot and over, it's an easy face turn for her to face someone like Jade Cargill, and then Cargill beats her and gets massive heat for beating her. So
yeah, so far we both agree Miro retains. We both agree Britt Baker retains,
yes,
right? And there's only 2 other championship matches.
There are. And the first one is the Tag Team Championship match, Steel Cage. The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros, which I think everyone saw coming because of the tournament and the 4 teams that were in it. Lucha Bros were probably the only ones that were going to win it, other than getting a rematch from the Jurassic Express. This is going to be a spot fest. No doubt in my mind. This is going to be a spot fest beyond belief. What they're going to do in this steel cage is going to be very innovative, very creative.
Crazy.
Yeah. They're going to do some crazy stuff, and especially Phoenix and Penta. I want to see what they could do in a cage. We've seen what they could do with ladders. We've seen them do stuff in street fights or whatever, but what can they do in a steel cage? That's going to be interesting. But they don't have that stupid rule where you escape to win, which I like in AEW. So this is going to have a clear winner. Who's that going to be? Is it the Young Bucks or is it going to be the Lucha Brothers?
I almost feel like it has to be the Lucha Brothers because I don't see Kenny losing, and I don't see every single... I mean, I guess you can have every champion win and retain, but I don't know. That to me, that's just a little predictable. So I'm going to go with the Lucha Brothers in this match.
I'm with you on this, and I feel like this card right now has a lot of heels winning. Where's going to be that babyface pop? Where's there going to be those babyface wins, those surprise wins? And if any title change happens, I'm with you. I think it's going to be the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah. And make no mistake, if Britt Baker wins, she's getting a babyface pop. She will. Absolutely. But just in terms of who is strictly a heel and who is clearly a face, I think the Lucha Brothers need to win this. I think the Young Bucks are definitely doing, at least to me, the best work that they've done since they've been in AEW. They're much better as heels, and a lot of people in wrestling history just generally do better as a heel, but they're doing very good work right now. They're really making it click. Do they need to be the champions to make it click? Probably not, but like I said, I just don't see every championship being retained tomorrow. So I'm going to go with the Lucha Brothers in this match.
Now, we brought up Adam Cole before. He obviously has ties with the Young Bucks being the elite, and they killed him off.
Yeah.
And the story of the steel cages, so that no one from the elite interferes with this match, so that we get a clear winner and the Young Bucks can actually retain without any outside interference. But, you know, maybe this is just me thinking like WWE and not AEW, but lights go out. We see lights flickering, and the ghost of Adam Cole comes, and beats the Young Bucks with a couple super kicks and helps the Lucha Brothers win.
I mean, it's definitely possible if you think that he's going to go to AEW.
Yeah. I mean, I personally had him going back to WWE in the All Elite Wrestling draft, but we haven't seen him yet on SmackDown or Raw since his contract expired. I would think by now he would have made this decision, but who knows? By Sunday, we know. I think by Sunday we know where Adam Cole's going. If he's not going to be at All Out, he's going back to WWE. If he shows up at AEW All Out, obviously he's staying. He's going to be in AEW. So
unless he goes to Arthur Ashe, goes up at.
He could do that too, but I mean, now that the rumor is Bryan Danielson's going to be showing up at All Out, they got to have someone there. Someone said, "Say no to Ghost." I don't like my idea. Come on, why don't? But anyway, so we're both going with the Lucha Brothers here with the title change.
I guess so. Is there a match we disagreed on yet? Oh, the Casino Battle Royale.
Yeah, the Casino Battle Royale. I have Ty Conti. You have Thunder Rosa there, but I'm pretty sure we're agreeing on everything else so far. But let's head to the last championship match of the night: Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage for the World Championship. Now, Ralph, I did some research on this because I was interested, because I think a lot of people are assuming this is not going to be the main event.
I was just going to ask you, I was interested, why did you have this as next when you would think that it would main event? I'm going to guess you don't think this is main eventing.
No, I mean, CM Punk, his first match in 7 years in Chicago and blowing up the internet when he showed up, and, you know, having AEW draw over 1 million and Rampage is #1 in the ratings. You know, I had to do some research here because the AEW World Championship, and I'm one of those, I'm a traditionalist, and I know you are too. The championship has to go on last unless there's a special reason for it. Now, AEW has had 9 pay-per-views since the first AEW Championship match with Hangman Page and Chris Jericho main eventing All Out 2019. How many times has the AEW World Championship main evented a pay-per-view in those 9 times?
Oh, man. Well, you researched it, so you tell me. I'll guess 6.
Close. 5. 5 times. So that goes to show you something. Like, we always say, oh, the title should go on last. The title should go on last. And it doesn't always go on last with AEW. So does that kind of hurt the value of the AEW Championship when even they almost 50% of the time don't even main event it?
Well, it depends on your thought. It depends on where you land on the spectrum. Very much like you, I'm a traditionalist. I always feel like the main event should be, there's one exception for this. I always feel like the main event should be the heavyweight championship of any promotion.
Mm-hmm.
If that person is going to wrestle, especially considering you have a guy like Kenny Omega, who some people view as the best wrestler in the world, you'd want to position him as such, and have him close the night out because he's the best guy, supposedly the best guy on the card. The only exception I ever had to that rule was the only match I ever saw as potentially being bigger than the heavyweight championship main eventing was the Undertaker streak while it was still intact at WrestleMania. That's the only time I ever feel like a match should be placed at any point above a championship match. And I feel the same.
And even then, it only main evented, well, since the streak storyline happened, twice. One of those times was for a world championship. The other time, obviously, was Shawn Michaels' career on the line, which that there definitely main event over anything. Shawn Michaels' career, the second of their two matches there that were amazing matches. Both of them could be considered the greatest match of all time. That's an exception. The two Stadium Stampedes, the lights out match with Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley was one of them that main evented over the AEW World Championship. Can you make a case for it? Yeah. And CM Punk obviously main eventing this show. I think you could make a case for it too, but I think they need to start having this World Championship main event some pay-per-views because, especially with Kenny Omega, since Kenny Omega has been the champion, he's had 3 pay-per-views as champion. He's only main evented 1. And that was the exploding barbed wire death match, which we all know how that went. The match was good, but the ending was terrible.
Yeah, and here's the thing. People always talk about, the rankings are so important in AEW, and yeah, they should be, especially if you're a company that's gonna base a lot of your matches on people being ranked and all that stuff. And if you have Kenny, who's your champion, who's ranked number 1, doing anything other than main event, you're essentially saying, okay, you value Punk more because he's gonna close the night and he's unranked. He hasn't even had a match.
Right. But I mean, this is one of those special occasions where it is CM Punk, coming back
so it's
after
sports
7
entertainment.
years.
So it's sports
entertainment. Yes.
Okay.
And I recently tweeted this out, and Raj Gary of Wrestling Inc. said the same thing, that this past Wednesday's Dynamite was very much like a WWE show, but they just did it better. And I retweeted it saying pro wrestling is sports entertainment. Sports entertainment is pro wrestling. Now,
the same thing.
Unfortunately, we agree on that. Vince McMahon does not agree on that. And Tony Khan does not agree on that. So Tony Khan will call it pro wrestling. Vince McMahon will call it sports entertainment. But if you're a fan, you have to understand they're interchangeable. They just are. But people will say, oh, it's not sports entertainment. I like pro wrestling. But yet, when we ask them why AEW is better than WWE, their main reason was long-term storytelling. Had nothing to do with the actual matches.
Pro wrestling is what you get while the two competitors are more that's happening in the ring. In my mind, that's how I define it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens leading up to it, the drama that gets people invested, the characters, the characters CM Punk, the guy CM Punk that had people go apeshit nuts when he made his return.
Mm-hmm.
That's sports entertainment.
Yeah.
No matter what you could call it pro wrestling, you can call it sports entertainment. It is they're so similar that to have the argument, it's just kind of silly.
Right.
Like if you're entertained, why do you care what it's defined as?
Right. I totally agree. But let's predict the match. I mean, Christian Cage is the first person to beat Kenny Omega in a singles match since Pac beat him at All Out 2 years ago. Does Christian Cage go 2-0 on Kenny Omega, or did they do this to try to spark some interest and get the Impact title off of Kenny Omega and give a solid win for Omega at All Out?
Yeah. I'd really like to see Christian win here. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that we get a retention.
Right. Just like Edge put over Roman and Goldberg put over Lashley and Drew McIntyre, Christian Cage is there to have the story of coming out of retirement, going after the world championship, but eventually falling short to the uprising star, the bigger star in the company today, to give him a solid win for their title reign. So Same thing. But anyway, we do have a couple super chats here, so let's get to those really quick. Richard Hess, thank you for your $5 super chat. Do you have a feeling Britt Baker's major free agent signing announcement was a subtle hint that Adam Cole is coming?
I do think Adam Cole's going to AEW for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes back to WWE.
Yeah, I think that definitely was a subtle hint, or at least a really good troll job that Adam Cole is coming to AEW, or just playing with the rumors. I mean, I've been doing the same thing on Twitter too, where anytime something Adam Cole related happens, I retweet and say, "Hey, Adam Cole at AEW confirmed." And I have one guy on Twitter like, "You're giving me a migraine with all these stupid retweets." So yeah. I'm having fun with it. So Harold Romero gave us another $5 to the Super Chat party. Thank you very much, man. Go with the Young Bucks, because if Pac and Andrade was happening, Andrade would have won. Lucha Brothers would have won. Andrade could have said, "See where the winners are now," to progress that storyline.
Yeah, or you could have had Andrade win and the Lucha Brothers lose, and then tell them, hey, if you had aligned with me and taken my guidance, you would have won the match or something like that. But
yeah, that's true. Actually, we were bringing up, classic times where the World Championship did not main event a pay-per-view, and the another match went over. Prime Killer, Ralph, brought up this very interesting bit of history, Ralph, because we were there. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor main evented WrestleMania 11, Diesel versus Shawn. And then also the Undertaker versus Undertaker match main evented over Owen and Brett, which was actually, that Brett and Owen match was, I think, the first time Meltzer gave a WWE match 5 stars. So a little bit of history there, folks.
So here's a little more history, and this kind of segues into where I think, if Bryan Danielson does show up tomorrow, where I see him coming out and debuting. Where do you think he's going to come out? Like, do you have any particular point, certain match, anything like that?
If anything, well, AEW doesn't like to book guys coming out of the gate and challenging for the world title. So I don't see him coming out after Omega, unless this match is main eventing, and that's how you close the show, with Daniel Bryan showing up, crowds going yes, and Omega's there, and they go face to face. Copyright, go to black.
But you think Punk's closing the night?
I think Punk's closing the night, especially because there's so many heels that are going to win, and this match with Punk and Darby, whoever wins, sends the crowd home happy as long as the match is good. So
here's where I think they're going to go with this. And the reason I think this is because we've seen the past couple of weeks, there's been a certain group, 3-man group here, who's threatening to sabotage that match, right?
2.0 and Danny Garcia.
Correct. Now, one of the first memories I have from when I was watching wrestling as a kid was, do you remember when the Warrior came back and saved Hogan from Papa Shango and Sid?
WrestleMania 8, yes.
Yes. So let's imagine those 3 guys are kicking the crap out of Punk and Darby after their match. Things got laid out or something like that. Imagine if, to close the night, you got the final countdown hit, Daniel Bryan comes out, helps them, clears the ring, and there's that iconic picture of Punk and Daniel Bryan shaking hands that you see everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if that's how they close the night out, with those 2 like that.
Yeah.
If Daniel Bryan, I keep saying whatever the hell, whatever
Bryan
you want
Danielson,
to call it.
Daniel Bryan, sports entertainment, pro wrestling, and they're all interchangeable.
If he's going to come back, that's how I envision it happening tomorrow.
That's not a bad idea. I'd like to see what other people pitch their ideas in the live chat, see if we get a good one here. But, we're talking about this main event, so let's head to it, or at least what I think is going to be the main event. CM Punk versus Darby Allin. Punk's first match in 7 years in Chicago. Darby Allin is one of the uprising stars in AEW. I honestly don't see how it doesn't main event. But obviously, if you want to put that AEW Championship, if you're a traditionalist, you put the title on last, it goes on last. But I don't know. I think this one is like, I would go 95% confident this is main eventing. So
Punk should either close the night and go against the traditionalist and myself and, what I want, what I think should happen, or he should almost open the night.
I wouldn't open the night, because you got a lot of people that are paying to see CM Punk.
Well, typically AEW crowds are a little bit different, but
don't forget, I think there's a lot of interest that they're trying to draw in that will up the pay-per-view buys similar to what Sting did at Revolution. I mean, Sting didn't main event because it was a pre-taped match, but still, I think this one here, because it's actually going to be a physical match and like in the ring and not a pre-recorded match like Sting and Darby was, this one I think it has to main event.
All right, so let's assume it main events. Who do you got winning?
I mean, if I'm a traditionalist, you go with the guy that the story's behind, and that is one CM Punk. But I also feel like the story in this is that CM Punk is back for the young guys.
Yes.
He's back for the young guys. He wants to wrestle all these young guys. And the story isn't so much he has to win. It's he has to look good in the match. So even if he loses, he looks good and people give him the "you still got it" chant.
Rocky won.
Yes.
He just has to go the distance.
Right. And Darby is so over right now that even if Punk loses no momentum. I don't think. Some people might be like, no. You think he loses momentum if he loses to Darby?
No, but it comes down to, like you pointed out, why is he there? Why did Punk come back? And he mentioned all the young guys that he wants to work with. I don't think Punk loses anything in losing to Darby, because Darby is probably the most over guy that, came from the indie scene that didn't really, people knew who he was, but it's not like he was Kenny Omega coming from New Japan or the Young Bucks who were crazy over before they got there and made AEW what it is. So I'm the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards Darby Allin winning.
Yeah, I mean,
they're gonna boo Darby. I don't think so.
I don't think they're gonna boo. No, they're not gonna boo Darby, especially if the match is really good. What I think they might do, because AEW does do this, and that is they book to protect both guys. There's only one way to really do that outside of some weird interference BS booking, which they sometimes do, but that is a time limit draw. Have them go 30 minutes and just end it on a time limit draw. But if it's main eventing, I don't think that's the best way to send them home, on a time limit draw.
Right. And that's the thing. Like if this is going to main event, and if you're going to do something like a disqualification, which has AEW ever done a disqualification?
They did in the Iron Man match with Omega and Pac. That's how I believe Omega got his first fall victory, was Pac hit him with the chair, and that was a disqualification. I think also Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler, when they were doing their stupid who's going to win their first match feud on Dark, I think one of their matches ended in a double disqualification. Other than those two times, I'm pretty sure they've never done a DQ.
Well, if they're going to do a time limit draw or a disqualification or some way to protect both of them, which I think is totally unnecessary, because I don't really think win or lose for either of them, I don't think it hurts them in any way. You almost have to have like a Bryan Danielson come out to bring the crowd back, to send them home happy. Now, I don't think people would be happy with a finish like that. And granted, there are a lot of hardcore fans who would be into like something like a time limit draw or something, but I don't know. I think that would piss a lot of people off.
It might, but sometimes doing things to piss people off creates more buzz than doing things just to make people happy. I mean, we hate on WWE a lot, but it seems like they get more buzz when they do some stupid shit that everybody hates, and it ends up helping someone in the end. Then we just give them what they want, because what ends up happening is we give them what they want, and it's like, well, what now? And then they don't know what to do with them, and they end up getting buried because of it. WWE
also loves to have the hometown guy lose in a big match.
That is true.
Unless you're the British Bulldog.
Hey, Matt Riddle won the tag team championships in Las Vegas.
Matt Riddle is the most over guy in WWE, other than Roman.
Probably. I would agree with that. Definitely right now. But so you're going with Are you going with Darby?
I'm going to go with Darby.
You are going with Darby. All right. If it's not a time limit draw and it main events, As much as I think Darby should win, I'm going with CM Punk winning this.
Okay.
I think that's the only match we've differed besides the Casino Battle Royale too. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun night, and I'm sure we're going to get some predictions wrong. I see a very active live chat here. So again, we're going to go through some quick questions here. Use the hashtag question to go through. It just makes me see the question easier. If you want to cut the line, donate to the Super Chat Party. Any dollar amount will help support this channel. You could also click our affiliate link to order All Out on Fight TV. That helps support this channel. And also, we have merchandise available too. You have 10% off with the promo code SCPB10. That link is in the description below. Between the affiliate link, the merch selling, and also the Super Chat, we're trying to get like a goal here of $200. Is that much to ask? $200 of to help support this channel, because the more money we get, the more we can help you guys and make more content that you guys enjoy. So let's get some questions here, Ralph. Let's see if I got any from the top. We already answered where is Hangman. Let's see.
This is crazy. In what world does it make sense that Darby wins? It's pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not the Patriots going against the Browns like 4 years ago.
Listen. When I was like 10 years old, the mediocre New York Giants beat an undefeated Denver Broncos that ended up winning the Super Bowl. So you never know. Anything could happen. But all right, so we'll start with Shay here. What if, and I'll say if, Triple H were to join AEW, how would you guys react?
How would I feel, or how would I? So how would I react? I'd certainly be shocked.
Yep, definitely shocked.
How would I feel? I would feel like it would be a huge win for AEW because Triple H is a guy that gets, for whatever reason, the IWC loves to hate him because he was the guy that was at the head of NXT and supposedly buries everybody, which is another crock of crap. But anyway,
it's like he's praised because he made NXT for what it was, but unfortunately, it wasn't as successful as it should have been. And now we got all these changes, and now people.
It was more successful than it ever should have been. I don't think anybody envisioned it becoming as popular as it was. It was probably the best wrestling thing in the United States going back 5 years ago. 4 years ago, right?
Maybe.
I
think like 2016, 2017 was probably their peak, and they haven't really rebounded from there. And I think at this point now, they see like, all right, we have all these indie guys in NXT. They get to the main roster and they don't know the WWE way, and Vince doesn't know how to book them, so they get buried and released or whatever. So they have to change things up, and that's what these changes are. They're just changing things to go to help guys like what OVW did when they built Batista, Brock Lesnar, Cena, and Randy Orton. That's what they're trying to do again.
Yeah, and with Triple H too. I mean, just the mind that he'd bring. He has the ability to see the production side. He has backstage experience, so we could certainly help there. I'm not even saying like as an on-air talent, but if you want to go there, he's certainly one of the. I think most people would consider him an all-time great, and he's definitely one of the best on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
There's more upside than there is downside, even though you'd probably piss some AEW fans off, but who cares?
Right. All right. So we did get some super chats here. Darlene been by. Thank you very much for your $4.99 donation to the Super Chat Party. She asks, I've seen some people say that CM Punk is teasing a heel turn. Do you see that at all?
Not tomorrow night.
Not really. I mean, I might see some hints, and I think he definitely is a guy that does really good as a heel. And even if people love him so much, he'll find a way to get heat. He'll do it. I mean, he already did somewhat of a heel turn thing last night by refusing that guy's bear at Rampage last night. I don't know. Did you see that?
I did not see it, no.
He was in the crowd, and there was a video that showed all over social media. He went in the crowd, and a guy offered him a beer, and he just was like, no, what are you, stupid? I don't drink beer.
Oh, yes, I did see that, yes.
Yeah. And obviously the guy probably was just doing it just to be a nice guy. Like, holy shit, CM Punk's here. What do I do? And the only thing in his hand is a beer, but obviously we all know CM Punk does not drink, but thank you for that. And also Harold Romero donating another $2 to the Super Chat Party. Favorite AEW theme? Mine is Brody or Stings.
Eddie Kingston's is really good.
You know whose is really good? And maybe this is just me being a guitarist and love 80s rock music, but I love Joey Janela's entrance theme.
Oh, God.
I love his theme song. I mean...
Yeah, it's not bad. It does remind me of like 90s WCW entrance theme songs, but...
Kinda.
Darby's is good.
Darby's is good, yep.
Eddie Kingston's is good. I like Cody's.
Moxley's was good before they changed it to Wild Thing. I really liked Moxley's too. And I think there's some people out there that believe Moxley's is, entrance music before Wild Thing was actually better than using Wild Thing. I don't know.
Kenny's
isn't bad.
AEW has impressively good entrance music. Especially like, who's is good, and it's not really an AEW theme. Christian's is good. Yeah,
but that was Impact that they were allowed to use as part of their.
Well, that's what I said. It's not an AEW.
Right. I love Marrow's. Marrow's is really good for his character. It just works so well. Like you get that Ivan Drago, that aura of him. Like he's Ivan Drago going to the ring with that kind of music. It works so well for him. I'm trying to think. Are there
Walters?
I really liked Jurassic Express before they went to Tarzan Boy too. That was another one. Let's see. Let me go again. Use the hashtag question. It makes it easier for me to find the questions here. Let's see here. And of course, you can donate to the Super Chat Party to cut the line. And, we have affiliate links for Fight TV and merchandise, 10% off SCPB 10. Let's see. We got any more questions here? It's really... I don't want to keep showing the same guy asking questions here. So
we're still talking about Triple H. We must have had a nerve.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here we go. MKASP PDO 64. You've been up since 7 a.m. or earlier in the West Coast, so thank you very much. On Dark last night, TK invited Sky Blue to the Battle Royal. We already mentioned that. So Rebel drops out. Joker's still in play. Soho, Chelsea Green, or Deonna Purrazzo? If not one of the ones we picked, out of those three, who would you pick?
Soho. He has the most buzz, I would think.
Maybe Purrazzo. I mean, they already have the Impact agreement there, and having the Impact Women's Champion would be not a bad role there. Someone put Tessa Blanchard. Let's see. What others? Rebel drops out. Maybe Ruby for... here's a good one. What's next for Brian Cage? He loses the match against Powerhouse Hobbs, and it seems like that storyline has been an infinite loop. And even like the whole thing with Team Taz has just been an infinite loop to me. Even like with Darby, they just don't know what to do with them. So they're like, okay, the FTW title is just going to be a feud within Team Taz. They haven't really done much to branch out of that. And it kind of hurts everyone involved, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really not a big Brian Cage guy either. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah. I mean, one thing's for sure, AEW, for the most part, they don't really book big guys well. And we've talked about that when we were talking about Braun Strowman at AEW in the All Elite Wrestling draft. I mean... Brian Cage is just a guy, like, he's a big guy, he can wrestle, but I think he needs a mouthpiece, and they just took his mouthpiece away from him.
And speaking of big guys, what are they going to do with, if they decide to do it, that whole Dan Lambert MMA? I don't want them to do anything with it. I hate when they try to do stuff like this.
Well, they're doing stuff with Man of the Year, Sky and Ethan Page.
Right, but I mean, for this show, we haven't seen anything. Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Like
maybe he cuts a promo during the buy-in or something.
Right.
Maybe he recruits Jim Cornette. Who knows?
Oh boy.
All right. So we know Andrade is, he teased a potential open challenge. So Michael Bedingfield asked Adam Cole versus Andrade or Andrade versus Daniel Bryan if they do an open challenge.
Not Daniel Bryan. Maybe Adam Cole, maybe Bray Wyatt, maybe Jay White. I don't know.
I think whoever does, you have to have Andrade go over, because if he loses, that's not going to look good for him. personally. Let's see what else we got here. And of course, if you want to cut the line, you donate to the Super Chat Party. Any dollar amount helps support this channel. We thank you guys so much for being a part of this so far. Jonas Tiger asked, where is Wardlow anyway? Sometimes you book wrestlers to be off TV for the sudden shock of when they appear to help with the moment. I think they purposely wrote him off so that when he comes out, he helps Jericho win tonight.
Yeah, that's possible.
Let's see. Someone's saying, it's not really a question, but a statement. You need Jericho to challenge Adam Page again to put him over. If Hangman Page does win the AEW World Championship, Jericho puts him over on his first defense. I don't think you need to do that necessarily, but good storyline if you go that route. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Here's one. Let me drag this out a little bit. Jeez, someone drawing so many freaking O's that I have to drag over the. Here we go. You don't think it's possible that Pac's travel issues is a storyline? Don't forget that Andrade messed with the Lucha Brothers travel that was done on Dynamite. I didn't even think of that. It could be a storyline. That's a good catch by you, sir.
And maybe
or ma'am.
Maybe they could still have the match. Maybe, he does the open challenge and Pac shows up.
Mm-hmm.
As like the surprise, but
wow. We just got a $25 donation to the Super Chat Party. Thank you, Mario Morales. Just woke up, so I didn't know what to ask. Thank you for waking up now, because he's also on the West Coast, so it's 8:18 now where he's living. So thank you very much. Thank you for the $25. There's your shout out. And, once you're done, watch the whole episode and then watch some Boy Meets World. Me and him go back and forth on Twitter all the time on Boy Meets World gifts. It's really fun, And who's a big AEW mark, speaking of Boy Meets World? Topanga.
Really?
Yep. Topanga is all elite. So, let's see. Now let me go back to there. Let's see if there's any other. Someone put in the comments, Hunter sucks. Let's be real. 0 wrestling skills. I wouldn't say that. He's one of the best ever to do it. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to do 1,000 tope suicidas and Canadian destroyers, but the guy is one of the best. You can't say he has 0 wrestling skills. He's probably one of the best traditionalists from the Attitude Era, personally, in my opinion. Nothing to add to that?
It's self-explanatory. All you have to do is go back and watch his matches.
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand some people don't like him. I understand why some people say he has a bad rep, but I don't see how we come to the conclusion that he's a bad in-ring worker.
Okay. Oh, here's an interesting question here. There we go.
And I know what somebody's going to say. They're going to bring up Bret Hart, I'm sure. Bret Hart talks poorly about just about everybody.
That's true. That is really true. The question here, with the tease of Malachi Black forming a new faction, I guess calling it House of Black, with the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, do you see Black and Broken Matt Hardy feuding? Black kills every member of the HFO. Would you be into that?
No, I would not. No. Look, Aleister Black is there for a reason. You put him over by having him take Cody out. There's no reason he should be feuding with Matt Hardy or anybody in that group.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right. Murray Lindsay asks, do you think Taz, Vicky, and Jake bring down their wrestlers? They aren't good managers. I mean,
I like Taz. I think Taz is good. The only reason I think a lot of those guys have done as well as they've done is because of Taz. But
I don't think Ricky Starks needs Taz.
No, he does not.
And Powerhouse and Cage, like I just brought this up, like I just feel like they're in this like infinite loop because of Team Taz, and I think they kind of do bring down their value a little bit. Jake the Snake, has he really done anything with Lance Archer?
We haven't even seen him.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of agree with Murray here that, like, these managers, like they're there to, bring eyeballs to these talent, but what are they really doing with them? Like Jake hasn't really cut a lot of promos for Lance. And when he does, there's nothing like the Jake Roberts we all know and love. And Vicky hasn't really done much for Nyla Rose, right. So I don't know with that one. I mean, it's definitely a good question to ask, but and even Tully Blanchard, has he really, maybe Tully has done a little bit for FTR, but other than that, I don't know if they really have been using their managers effectively, but let's see. I just got one. From Airfan K, what do you think about MJF's next feud? Any possible people?
Punk.
That's down the line. I don't think that's his next feud. His next feud is going to be Wardlow, because Wardlow's going to cost Jericho him the match against Jericho, and that's how they're going to start that feud. Prime Killer giving us $10 Canadian. Brian Zayn did a Wrestling with Regret on the problem NXT back in the problem with NXT back in 2015 regarding the disconnect between NXT and the main roster. Do you think Vince has finally fixed NXT in his mind? Now, I have not seen this Wrestling with Regret, but Brian Zayn is very good at what he does. He's, wealth of knowledge, that guy. So, he's been doing stuff with Ring of Honor too now, which is very cool. But here's the thing. NXT since 2014, and this is really because Punk left and Daniel Bryan main evented WrestleMania, that WWE went down this route of, rather than building our own stars, let's get all the stars from the independent scene, hoard them, and just tweak them a little bit to become main event superstars. It hasn't happened. When you look at the main roster right now, who is a top guy that is also a quote unquote indie darling? And when I mean indie darling, I mean like guys who have been in the indie circuit 5, 10 years, made a name for themselves, and WWE finally signed them in their 30s. Seth Rollins, who wasn't even signed to WWE in his 30s, he was in his 20s, but still had a lot of time in the independent scene. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. Out of all the NXT call-ups, those 4 have more than 5 years experience in the independent scene, have made a mark in WWE as a top guy. And even Sami Zayn is still debatable, and even Kevin Owens is debatable. But Seth and AJ are definitely those 2.
Yeah, and the thing with NXT, we could do a whole different episode on this. I mean, I just think that NXT became a lot bigger than it ever was intended to ever be. I think that had a lot to do with a lot of guys in the right place at the right time. And I think that a big part of the reason why NXT is not as successful as it once was right now is because WWE was reacting to the fact that AEW was formed. And WWE also was so bad on the main roster, especially Raw at one point, where they had to go out, they had to apologize to the fans. They said everything was going to be different. We're going to bring guys up. They brought up Ricochet. He has done nothing of significance.
Nope.
They brought up EC3. He's not even in the company anymore.
Nope.
I'm trying to think who else they brought up. But they were doing those vignette packages. But the main thing was, I think in order to kind of at least expect to keep the fans somewhat happy and intrigued, all right, well, we'll just bring these guys up who, again, I go back to Triple H. Obviously, Triple H has a way to relate to the talent and the wrestlers there in a way that gets them to go out there and do the best that they can. Because one, the product was always good until they started taking those guys from NXT and brought them to the main roster. But 2, once they went to the main roster, a lot of them didn't really find that much success. They were just brought up because it's like, okay, well, we'll do what we can to please the fans. We'll bring up Ricochet. We'll bring up Aleister Black. That's what I was going to say. Aleister Black. We'll bring up Andrade. None of them have done much of anything there.
Right.
And the other thing too, with Triple H, a lot of times when you see these guys leave to go to AEW or elsewhere, they always thank him. Majority of them will say, thanks to Triple H, you helped me break into the business, give me the spotlight. I just don't think they ever envisioned NXT becoming as popular as it ever did. It has a lot to do with just It was something different. It had a completely different feel from the main roster. It was good. I mean, you had Ciampa and Gargano, which was a major feud that a lot of people are interested in.
Yes.
And the unfortunate thing was the reaction, I think, to AEW and the fact that they had a stale product. A lot of guys got called up to the main roster. They didn't know what to do with them. They couldn't relate to them. It was a different fan base, so some of them just didn't click. And we get what we have left now, which is the bare bones of NXT.
Right. Now, for some reason, it's not coming up on my little doc here to showcase this, but Harold Romero donated another $5 to the Super Chat party. Triple H, definitely an awesome wrestler and respect his abilities, but it's because of him and Stephanie why I stopped watching wrestling during the Hunter McMahon era. You know, I could see that too. There was a time where I stopped watching wrestling, but I think that was really before the Hunter McMahon era. I started coming back into it because of CM Punk, actually. The pipe bomb got me back into watching wrestling. And then the 2014 is really when I started watching weekly again. And really haven't stopped since, although I don't watch Raw like at all anymore. And SmackDown I'll watch. Dynamite and Rampage I'll watch too. But thank you. Like Harold, man, you are donating a lot, man. Between you and Mario, you guys are going for top donator tonight in the live chat. But let's do a couple more questions before we head out. Who should dethrone Marrow?
Oh man. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe Moxley. I don't know.
Yeah, could be Moxley. I mean, if they're doing what Eddie Kingston and then Moxley avenges that win from Marrow, that could definitely be. Obviously, some kind of baby face. Do you have Darby win it back? Jungle Boy, maybe. But maybe go with Moxley there. Not a bad pick there. Will Hangman Page become the next GOAT of this decade? From Aprana Singh.
I would say he has the potential to be. He certainly got himself really over, which is not very easy to do, as we've seen in pro wrestling history. Yeah, it's possible.
Right. Let's see here.
It's just very hard to stay on top for a whole decade to be that. I mean, even some of the guys that have been the most over, Hogan, Austin, Rock, just to be that over, to be like the most over guy of the decade, that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, the GOAT of the decade, like, are we just talking AEW? Are we talking WWE? You know, New Japan Pro Wrestling? Because, I mean, we did this countdown last year of the best wrestlers of the decade, and we actually disagreed because I had Okada, you had Cena, and
that's right.
It was basically what your criteria is, and you know, because Okada did it in Japan and Cena did it in America, that's why you went over Cena. But to me, it didn't matter because location should not be the dictator of what a guy is the GOAT of the decade for, and Okada was that guy. So, Hangman, he's going to be a star in AEW. GOAT of the decade, I think, might be a stretch, but who knows? It's 10 years to really develop into that. So we'll see what his body of work looks like. But we'll close out with this question here, Ralph, from Michael Soft, not Microsoft, Michael Soft. With a crowded roster, does Bray Wyatt see the main event scene with his first year being in AEW? Now, first, we have to assume he's going to be in AEW. But when he does, is he a main event guy in AEW?
In his first year, I would say no, because you got Punk back, you're going to get Hangman Page back, you got Kenny there, Jericho, MJ. I just think the main event spot, especially if you bring in Bryan Danielson, if Adam Cole I mean, that's a lot of guys. I don't think Bray Wyatt needs to be in the main event picture to be over or to connect with the fans. So I'm going to say not in his first year.
Right. No, I totally agree. I don't see him as a main event guy, but
he's a main event talent, but I just don't see him in that position given the long list of guys that they have right now.
Yeah, exactly. And plus his character doesn't really mesh with the AEW style that they like to put in the main event. They don't put like character guys in the main event like Bray is, so he would have to basically change his entire approach to wrestling to be a main event guy in AEW, I think, which is why he might actually be better off going to like Impact or something like that. But who knows? But you know what, guys? It's been fun. We'd like to thank you all for joining us here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Don't forget, you can order All Out on Fight TV, not just internationally. It's available in the United States. Link is in the description. And also, we got merchandise available. Where'd I go? There we go. We got merchandise available. And you could do that by going to the link in the description. 10% off with the promo code SCPB10. And it's been fun, guys. We appreciate it. Definitely check out All Out. If you're new to the channel, like this video, share it all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPD Podcast. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti. Thank you all for joining us here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend, guys.